Okay, so here are the answers to the Chapter 2, Part 2 study guide. So the first section asks us to identify the parent graph, identify the transformations, and then write an equation. So for this first graph, this is an x squared. So y would equal x, the square root of x, which is our parent function, so the thin line, and then the darker line or the blue line on my screen is the transformation. So it says identify the transformation. So it didn't stretch or compress any. So I would just go, it went down 2 and 4 to the left. So it went 4 left and 2 down. So then my new equation, because it didn't compress or stretch, is just going to be y equals the square root of x plus 4, showing that it moved to the left 4, minus 2, showing it moved 2 down. The next one is an absolute value graph. So my parent function is y is the absolute value of x. It did stretch, so I am going to have a stretch. So I know that it flipped over, so it's going to flip. It's going to have a stretch of by a factor of 2. And then it moved to the right 2. Okay, so then to write the equation, my equation would be y equals negative 2, the absolute value of x minus 2. Okay, the next one, my parent function is y equals 1 over x. It didn't stretch or compress any, it just moved up and down. So if you notice that this is where my original asymptotes crossed, my asymptotes moved over 2 to the right and up 3. So my transformation is 2 right and 3 up. So when I write my equation, it's going to be because 1 over x minus 3, sorry, x minus 2, to show that it moved right 2 and then plus 3. Next set of problems are the same as the first 3, just different parent functions. So in A, the parent function is x cubed. It didn't compress or stretch, but it moved. So here is my original point. Here's my new switch. So it moved over 2 to the right and up 4. And 4 up. So my equation will be y equals x minus 2 cubed plus 4. For A, the next one, my parent graph is x squared. It did, it flipped over, but it didn't compress or stretch. So it's going to be a flip. It moved 5 left. And it moved up 4. So my equation is y equals negative for the flip, x plus 5. Show that it moved 5 left, plus 4. This is y2 to the x is my parent function. So the transformation is it moved 3 right. So then my equation is 2 to the x minus 3. The next set of problems gives me an equation and asks me to write the description of what happened. So in this one, it moved 6 left. It flipped over. It was compressed by 1/2. And it went up 7. For the second one, it was stretched by 2. It moved right 3 and down 2. And then the last one, it was flipped, stretched by 2 and down 5. Next problem wanted to know if it was even or odd. So this one right here is going to be even. So if you had graphed them, the graph ends up being it's -1, so it ends up looking kind of like that. If you, since it's right, the symmetry is right on the y-axis, when you graph the negative, it actually goes right on top of itself. This one is neither. It follows that exponent rule. This is to the second power, x is to the first. One's even, one's odd, so it's going to be neither. This one would be even. So again, it's going to be an absolute value with the symmetry of the y-axis, so it would reverse right on itself. X squared is always even, and x cubed is odd. Okay, to identify the domain and range. So for the domain for this one, it starts here, and it keeps going on forever in the other direction. So x is just going to be greater than -2 is the domain. X is greater than -2. Y the domain is, or the range is, y is greater than -6. So it's just, it keeps going up. So even though it stops there, the other ones would keep in line. For the next one, here's the ranges between this point and this point right here, and or the domain is between these 2 points. So the domain is going to be -3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 4, and -2 is less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to 6. So this is between 2 points, so my domain is going to go between those 2 points, and my range is going to go between these two. So my range is 1 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 5, open circle versus closed, and -1 is less than or equal to y, which is less than -3, again, open versus closed. Actually, sorry about that. This one's the other way. -3 is less than y. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to solve this by elimination. I'm going to take the first one and multiply through by 3. So we get 9x minus 50y equals 3. -9x plus 9y equals 9. So I'm going to add them. These cancel to give me 0. I get -6y equals 18. Little correction. I forgot to multiply this. This would be 9. So divide by -6. I get y equals -3. When I plug that back in, I get 3x minus 5 times -3 equals 3. So I get 3x plus 15. Subtract 15. I'm going to get 3x equals -12. So x equals -4. So my answers are -4, -3. The second one, I'm going to multiply the bottom by 2. So get 16x minus 8y equals -8. -16x plus 6y equals 2. These cancel. I get 0. I get -2y equals -6. So I'm going to end up with y equals 3. Plug it back in. I get 16x minus 24 equals -8. I get 16 equals 16. So x is going to end up equaling 1. So my answer is 1, 3. Okay. So for these ones, write the equation of a quadratic. So I always start off at 0, 0. Draw my picture. This is 0, halfway between. So this total is 60. So that means this is 30, and the max height is 15. So I know I'm going to start my equation as x minus 30 squared plus 15 with a in front of it So now I have to solve for a. So I always plug in 0, 0. So I get 0 equals 0 minus 30 is negative 30. 30 squared is going to be 900 plus 15. So I get negative 15 equals 900a. Divide by 900. And then when I simplify, I ended up with negative 1 over 60. So then I just rewrite it. So y equals negative 1 over 60, x minus 30 squared plus 15. For the second one, it says a ball bounces a horizontal distance of 6 feet. So now I know my total is going to be 6. Start at 0. This will be 3. Got a height of 20. So my first equation is y equals a x minus 3 squared plus 20. Again, I'm going to plug in 0, 0. So 0 minus 3 is going to be negative 3 squared is 9. So I get negative 20 equals 9a. So I'm going to get negative 20 over 9 equals a. And I just replace it in my equation. So y equals negative 20 over 9 times x minus 3 squared plus 20. So this last part says to factor each completely. So the first thing I want to make sure to do is see if there's any common factors I can pull out. So this first one, there's an x in each one. So I just pull out the x and I get x plus 8. And I can't factor any further. So that's actually my answer. No equal sign. Okay, just leave it at that. The next one, I can pull out an r squared from each one. So I get 9r squared plus 24r minus 20. And then I factor. So if I boxed and diamond it, I would have ended up with this. The next one I notice I can pull out a 5x first. So I get 7x squared minus 75 divided by 5. Minus 15x divided by 5. Okay. So then when I factor the insides, I get 5x. I get 7x plus 6 when I box and diamond it. X minus 3. The next one, I can pull a k out. So I get k squared minus 2k minus 35. I factor, I get k, and 7 and 5, because 7 and 5 make 2. So I make this one minus, this one plus, so I get a negative 2, and then this is my answer. This one I'm going to pull out an x. And then when I factor it, I end up with 7x plus 9, x minus 7. I'm pretty confident you guys can all get to the step. It's just leave it like that. Don't go any further. So this top one, I'm just going to, there's nothing I can pull out. So I get 5x minus 7 and 2x minus 1.